I am the CPS Punisher, and I stand before you today with a fierce urgency to address the dark realities surrounding Child Protective Services. I would like to let you know that Monday through Friday I host a roundtable show at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, which is in the United States time zones. I say this only because we have teamed up with some very amazing allies across the Atlantic Ocean. They are true spectacles of word warriors standing shoulder to shoulder with us day and night. Speaking out against the injustices they are facing on their soil, they back us up on ours. We are now a worldwide fighters alliance ready to confront these challenges together. We do have the guts for boots on the ground, but right now we are amplifying our voices. We are putting the almighty pen to paper to create a bill that we must get in front of those seeking office in Congress this November. We need people to assist us in getting these documents to their respective persons for review. Sure, we are talking and raising awareness, but now we must take decisive action. Our kids are waiting far too long to be put back in the homes of
In the heart of our great nation, where the strength of our communities is built upon the foundation of strong and loving families, an urgent crisis is unfolding. Child Protective Services, CPS, an institution designed to safeguard our most vulnerable, has in many cases betrayed its noble mission. Too often, families are torn apart not by neglect or abuse, but by systemic failures and corruption. We can no longer stand idly by as these injustices continue. We are here to give a voice to those who have been isolated, to shine a light on the corruption, and to rally our fellow citizens in this critical fight for justice. Every day, countless families are caught in a web of bureaucracy and abuse of power, their lives disrupted and their bonds shattered. Children, who should be nurtured and protected, are instead placed in situations that can be just as, if not more, harmful than the circumstances from which they were taken. Parents, often bewildered and powerless, face insurmountable odds as they fight to reunite with their children. This is not the America we believe in. We cannot allow these injustices to persist. Our mission is to educate, to inform, and to inspire action. We promise to bring you daily updates on CPS, exposing the truth and fighting for reform. We must remember that the future of our nation depends on the strength and unity of our families. By standing together, we can hold CPS accountable and ensure that it fulfills its true purpose, protecting children and preserving families. This is a fight we must not and will not lose. We are committed to saving our families and securing a brighter future for all. The road ahead is challenging, but with your support, we can make a difference. Together, we will bring hope to those who have lost it and ensure that justice prevails. Let us unite with unwavering resolve and a sense of patriotic duty to safeguard the integrity of our families and the future of our nation.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday night CPS Victims Hunting Justice. A couple days away from Thanksgiving, so hopefully all you guys can do the best you can for that holiday. Hard, these times are hard, but we do the best we can with what we do with it. So, find some friends, do what you got to do, get by these holidays and stuff. We got the chat room right here. Obviously, as usual, we have the chat, but tonight's going to be a little bit different. I know we always do play videos. We got everybody in here. But tonight I'm going to play you guys a video. But I'm going to bring down the here, get Vinny out here. Dr. Fowler is with us, and Herbert's in the house. Herbert, Dr. Fowler, Vinny, how we doing?
Doing.
So I come across this woman that's been fighting CPS for a long time. And she has quite a story. She's starting to become mainstream, but she produced this show that well, I'll let it do itself. Go check that. Go check this out. Save us here. What's going on with you, Vinny? Anything good?
I'm not. Quiet.
Quiet night on the Vinny train, huh?
Yeah.
How about you, Dr. Fowler? You got anything going on? Just nothing for Dr. Fowler. Herbert, what's going on with you, buddy?
Oh, we lost both of them.
They're all out. There they all go. All right. Well, shit happened.
Guess we can do the video.
I guess that's it. I guess they didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see which is the one that I wanted to watch. Right here. All right. Well, I'm going to get this thing started up right now then.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Benny, this is going to blow your mind, dude.
Yeah, we all right. I got some anxiety, but we are packing these bags and getting ready to go to the studio. If y'all can just pray for us, please.
We're praying hard. We got you, God's got you. Always praying. Army strong.
Hey, we'll check in a little bit. Love you guys.
Love you, stay safe. Love you, be safe.
Let me help speaking on the situations from Chino Hills and from
CPS reports say that it began when I was 3 months old, but I remember very clearly at 4 years old. It's the first time that somebody hurt me and I didn't have drugs. It was the first time I was awake and I knew what was going on. I was at my babysitter's, and out of all the kids, she kept bringing her boyfriend around me. She kept telling me to come sit in the room on his lap, talk to him. And one day I got really irritated that he kept trying to touch me, so I started fighting him, and she beat me. She beat me, and she told me that he was going to do whatever he wanted to do anyway, so she locked me in the room. And when When he stopped, she took my stuff, and she threw me outside in the driveway in Ritchie Canyon until my 2 biological sisters got off the school bus and they found me. I was in shock. I just sat there. And the bruises are so bad. The pain was so bad, I didn't know what to do with myself.
When I was 18 or 19 years old, I started trying to look for answers. I know who my mom is. I don't need those answers. My former last name it means nothing to me. I don't want anything from it. I never have and I never will. I couldn't wait to get rid of the name. But when I turned 18, 19, I started trying to still fill in those holes to my life that I'm still missing. And I tried to go back to the hospital, St. Bernardine's, California. I tried to go back and get some type of history. I started talking to my babysitter. It was a weird situation because she was placed in my life as someone that I started talking to in a relationship type way. I didn't know who she was. I didn't remember her.
Excellent. Hey, quit playing with yourself.
Okay.
I can hear every time you squeeze that thing.
All right. Well, I don't know where to throw this. Quit playing with yourself. That stopped a while ago, but here we go. I don't know where I can't. I would toss it. I can't see anything. So, I'm just going to get low because I can see it. When I went over to her house, I eventually found out things started coming back. We talked, we fought, and she told me that I didn't understand what was going on, that there were many answers that I was missing, which already there's
I'm
many
doing it right now.
holes to my story,
Got you, buddy. I'm doing it right now.
to the things that I know myself. I stopped looking for those answers when I was adopted, and I don't need those answers, but I tried to look anyways. I went back to St. Bernardine's Hospital. I started looking for answers, and I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know if I wanted that answer. I have my mom, and I know who my mother is. Shelley Carter, I know who my mother is, but I just wanted answers. And she kept telling me she would give them to me, and she lied once again. Everybody thinks that it's your elite predators, your celebrities, your blue check mark, your political suits, your very credible people that you're supposed to be scared of, or you think that that's the only people that are involved in corruption, like Child Protective Services or secret societies, military and government corruption. You think that that's it, and it's not. And that's what they want you to think. They know that you don't know. But it's not just your elite celebrities. It's your everyday people. It's your lawyers, your doctors, your pediatricians that you take your children to, your everyday neighbor, your teachers, your daycare facilitators. My babysitter had the keys to the elementary schools in her area.
My surrogate, I don't call her a mother, but my surrogate, she took her to court. She went to court with it and she lost the case. And then I wondered, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Why did everybody treat me like I did something wrong at 4 years old? Why did everybody treat me like it was my fault? In the courtroom, they made her shake her purse out and give her the last bit of change that she had in her wallet because she said she didn't give her the rest of the money for that day. And she did. And then she took me home and beat me because she lost the case. Everything became something that was normal since that day. That day never leaves me. And ever since that day, I thought everything that was going on was something that had to happen and something I did. So I stayed quiet until I was about 12. And then every boyfriend, every piece of authority, everyone that she brought in my life, she kept telling me she didn't get enough money from me. She got government money for the rest of her kids. She stole Social Security cards. She was very well invested with the Panthers until they left her alone for a little bit. Until she had to figure out the money and then come by herself. So bootleg movies, fake IDs, drugs is what she did. But she always said she never got enough money from me. So, and at 12 years old, she started dating the chief of police.
Hi, my name is Allison Carter. I have a cop pulling me over. I just want to know that if he's ran my license plate, I just wanted to make sure, I just don't feel safe. I just wanted to make sure he ran my license plate.
You just scared the fucking shit out of me.
I'm not trying to do that.
You were following me for a long time,
we
and
were-
I slowed my ass way down,
we
and you
are,
slowed your ass way down. You scared the fucking shit out of
Calm
me
down,
right
Mom.
now.
It's okay. He really scared us. He's been following us for a while.
You went over that solid white line, okay? Now I didn't know if you were
I am going towards 366.
Because I was trying to see if you were fucking following me, dude.
Do you have driver's license on your equipment?
Yeah.
Is this your car?
No, we're not driving. Hang on one second. Did you call us? Did you call us in, sir? I just want to make sure you called us in. And I'm on the phone with 911 right now. I just want to make sure you called this in.
Called what in?
Called this in.
Pulled over.
What are you, a state trooper?
Yeah.
Yes, he's a state trooper.
My
Are you
daughter's a
Officer
traffic
McDaniels?
survivor. We get fucked with a lot.
Are you
so-
Officer McDaniels?
No.
He's not Officer McDaniels, ma'am.
We are on the road. We have had, I'm stepping out of my car with my hands up because I'm not sure. I'm just stepping out of my car with my hands up. My grandma's sitting here in the car. We have been pulled over once again. I have already called 911. Please screen record this video because it makes no sense. This officer has now pulled us over and has said that the reason why he pulled us over, please stay on Facebook, screen record, make sure with my mom. She's on my Facebook Live right now, and she's inside this trooper's car. He has tailed us for over 10 or more minutes. We thought someone was following us, which he was. She speed up, she slowed down. We did everything that we needed to do to make sure that he was following us. Now he's saying that she committed some type of traffic stops or traffic violations. Now he's saying that she's drunk. My mother does not drink. I put that on everything that I love and my grandmother's grave, that my mother does not drink or do any type of drugs. So he's going to run his test or say that he's on doing a sobriety test or whatever. I'm just done with this. I've already called 911 and checked with Highway Patrol. They said that he did not call it into state, but he did call it into Highway Patrol. a few minutes ago into the car.
Are you a cock blocker?
I'm not gonna let you walk up next to him.
No. You guys are asswads. You guys fucking suck. All the brotherhood. Can you grab me a soda while you're back there? You're really harassing me because first you're gonna a violation, and then I'm a drunk driver, and then now you're getting me on drugs and shit, and you're upset because I didn't pull over immediately off the off ramp. What do my notes have to do with the drug stop or an alcohol stop or anything else? Nosy ass. What does that have to do with anything? You're looking for what? What are you looking for?
A lot of you saw the video where the police pulled us over the first time. It was late at night. We turned the live cameras on, and then you saw us get really belligerent with the police. They searched our car. They pulled everything out. What you don't understand is there's so many more things that go on for survivors. Weeks prior to that, one of Allie's handlers had bought onto her contract. That means that they paid money for each one of those police officers to pull us over the way they did. And I already knew that your police officers are not all good and they're not all bad, but there are some that have sworn to the Freemason Brotherhood, and they're very corrupt. Like all the secret societies, they do what they're told to do. When you saw Allie getting very belligerent with the police officer, it's because the police officer was looking at the phone. One of the people that help us stay out of the way was calling, and we didn't want him to see who was calling because we were afraid that he would harass her. So it was actually Allie's alter, Maddie, that was getting very belligerent. Most of you don't understand how things work for survivors. There's just a lot to it. When they paid to gang stalk her in that way, the purpose of it was to stress her out to the point where she split. That night, when you watched us on the live being pulled over, that was enough stress for Allie to split, and that was the goal of the gang stalking.
What does it mean to split?
For survivors, for MK Ultra, they start splitting the psyche when they're infants, and it's called trauma-based mind control. And they introduce trauma into the children, usually the infants. Sometimes they do it while they're in the womb. They can shock them in the womb. They can, there's survivors that I know that were raped as they were being born breech. They raped them half in the canal and half out of the canal to cause a split, to cause enough trauma for their blood pressure and their heartbeat to raise so high from the fear and from the pain that their psyche will split. They're looking for that split because they can program that part to be a slave. Your black slavery was more of a physical slavery. They were physically bound to where they were. They couldn't leave. They were physically in slavery. MK Ultra slavery is a slavery of your mind. You have no control over your mind anymore. Somebody else is able to control that. Somebody else is able to say codes, passwords, triggers, and pull up whichever ultra they want to do whatever task they want. So it is the most evil form of slavery that you can imagine.
And he would come in my room at 4 o'clock in the morning, every night like clockwork. He was a married man, and he didn't come over during the day except for maybe twice. But he would come over at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. to have sex with her, and then she would go get in the shower. And then he'd come to my room. And there was only a few times where I was I was raped in my own closet in Moreno Valley, California, off of Sagebrush Court, off of Nason Street, in the townhomes right across from the high school. It was too many times in my own closet, and I started to run. I had enough. And he would have his friends come pick me up, and they would take me over on Marino Beach Drive, right in front of the car dealerships. They would have their way, and then they would take me back home until they got a trap house on Nason Street. They would bring other kids. Nobody questions the cops. Nobody questions why their cars are parked the wrong way. Nobody questions what they're doing. Everybody thinks that if the cops are sitting in a weird spot in the middle of a deserted field, then somebody did something wrong and they were probably trying to catch them. And no, that's not true. I tried. I tried to run. I tried to scream. I tried to fight. And they would just put handcuffs on me. And then I had enough. I tried to kill myself.
Well, my career in law enforcement, I actually joined the Brotherhood of Freemasons.
Okay. Yeah, how'd you get into that?
Man, you know, a lot of cops are involved with that.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. It is. It's a thing that I'm not saying you must do, but 95% of them do. One of my supervisors, he was a lieutenant. Pretty much came up to me and asked me, "Hey, you want to join a club?" And I'm like, "What kind of club is it?" You know what I mean? Right. Well, it's a Freemasons. I did my background, you know, on them and did my research. And
yeah, sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, you sworn never to divulge any information, but to always protect and help your fellow brother. That's it. But see, if you start exposing them, they'll go after you. They'll go after your family. They'll try to kill you because the government is part of it. It's not only civilians. The government is in cahoots with these people.
Right, right.
And in there's sectors throughout the whole country that's split apart. I don't know if it's northeast, south, and west, but they have witches that are in charge of these sectors and warlocks that are in charge of these sectors, and they pretty much monitor the satanic. You know, I'm going to use the satanic. Members. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are politicians heavily involved in witchcraft. And they have to do certain rituals and certain things in order for them to gain favor with the Rothschilds, and then they send orders of doing things for that family.
Wow.
You know, they give them orders, and with those orders money comes with it.
Exactly.
They're all demons. They're all demon possessed. They're vessels. They're fleshly vessels that are compartmentalized. They're like shattered. They shatter their brains, and it's just like MK Ultra, right? They use MK Ultra to break the minds of people, and then they mold them the way that they want them to go.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Or satanic ritual abuse. That all comes together with the Freemasons.
I want you guys to think about your mental hospitals. A lot of your horror movies are based around asylums, mental asylums. Most of us know that there was tortures that went on in the mental asylums, lobotomies, different types of things like that. Those things are real. A lot of your MK Ultra survivors have been through mental hospitals. A lot of them get put back into mental hospitals to reset their programming if it starts to break down. A lot of your survivors have been raped in mental hospitals. A lot of them have been put in dental type chairs for programming and resetting purposes. Most of the survivors that you come across are going to be terrified of the dentist, and there's a reason for that. They use a lot of medications for programming as well. For instance, your CPS kids will all be on different types of medication. If you go buy a medication and you pull out that pamphlet that comes with it, there's a big long thing with risks and side effects and those type of things. They have to test those medications on people, and they test them on the people that are in the mental hospitals. They test them on the children in CPS care because they can give them the medications and find out the side effects and use them for experiments. So there's so many layers of things that are being done. It's just the worst evil that you've ever seen.
I went into mental hospitals. I was in solitary confinement because I fought back so hard, because I started seeing the corruptness in the mental hospitals, and that became my fault too. She was in the hospital when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was going to Boniol Elementary in San Bernardino, California. I also went to Del Rosa Elementary in San Bernardino, California. But at the time that I was going to Boniol, she was put into Patton, the hospital for the criminally insane. I don't know why. And I don't remember. I remember some of it, but I don't remember a lot of it. But I had to go on visitation to Patton. Boniol Elementary sits on the same street, right next door, pretty much, to Patton Hospital. And I would have to go visit her. And when I visited her, weird things happened. They would put me on a table and play that clown game with me. You know how you try to stab your hands and not miss with a knife? They would put me on a table and they would put food around me and they would stab at me. I remember that. I was 15 in the 10th grade. By the time I went into Child Protective Services, first I went to Riverside ETS and Chino Hills Mental Hospital. I was in Chino Hills for a month in a psych ward. The nurses there and the psych ward had a system, and they knew that everybody was on medication so they could get away with things like sexual abuse, pictures, writing fake things in the chart but discussing it over someone's bed. And because they thought you were high and drugged, they didn't think you'd remember. But I wasn't supposed to be on medication. I was given medication, but I wasn't supposed to be on it. There was no reason. And one night I was awake when 2 nurses came in the room. My roommate had sliced her arm. She sliced it from here down. And they used to always have to change her bandages because she would try to reopen them at night. And I never understood why. She would scream and she would try to reopen them. I'd wake up in pain and I didn't know why. And then one day I didn't take my medicine. And the nurses came in our room and they were talking over our bed about changing the charts. About nobody would believe the kids because they're already crazy. They took pictures after they took her clothes off. And when they came to my bed, I started fighting. They threw me in solitary confinement for a week. I wanted to die. I remember the social worker coming out and telling me that they were going to send me back to my biological mother. And I remember telling them that if whatever happens, just know that I'm coming back in a body bag. Because I know that somebody is going to get a hold of me, and nobody wanted me to tell the truth. So they put me in foster care.
When Allie was put in foster care, I was advocating for her, and I was reporting back, and I was writing reports and turning in reports to CPS based on the abuse that she was telling me that she was experiencing while in foster care. At first, they embraced me, and they were allowing me to have visitation with her. When I started making too many waves, they turned everything back on me. They filed a court order that said I was a predator to Allie, and they were telling me I was not allowed to have contact with her because they were trying to silence things, and they were using that as a means to scare me. CPS was in charge of Allie at that time. She was their responsibility. If they filed a court order that I was a predator or was harming her, they should have pressed charges and they should have followed up on that, and they never did. Shortly after that, Allie went missing from CPS care. She was AWOL for over a year. After that year was up, they placed her with me. They said I was a good home and a good fit for her, and they allowed her to be placed in my home. Those are two opposite things in a very short time, but they do that to a lot of parents. That's a tactic they use to silence people, to keep control of the situation, to get people to look the other way. CPS is very corrupt, and it needs to be defunded. It's very evil what they do. They can remove children from any of your homes for any reason. It's irrelevant whether you're a good parent or a bad parent. If CPS wants to traffic your kid, they can come in and take your kid, and you really won't have a leg to stand on. CPS has no checks and balances. They don't have any oversight. The ombudsman of your state is supposed to be the checks and balances, but the ombudsman's usually corrupt as well. There's nobody that CPS answers to. They work with the Freemason Brotherhood police. When they come to your door, they can take your kid, and they'll usually bring the police with them to do it. They work with corrupt judges that are also Freemasons. When I was fighting for Allie when she was in CPS care, I went to the ombudsman for help. The ombudsman took our information. We met face to face in Riverside, California. When the ombudsman went back to Sacramento, where she was from, told me to message her within a week. I did message her within a week, and I didn't get a response. Shortly after that, I tried calling, and she had retired. That's just how things work in a corrupt system. A social worker from the county came out and opened a case for Allie. The social workers had changed a couple times while she was at the shelter. At one point, a new social worker came. In social work, they will dispatch somebody to come out and initially assess the kid and take the paperwork, take the report. That's their job. When that part's done, then they hand that off to another social worker. So a new social worker will come out after that. There's a really high turnover rate of social workers for kids. They change frequently. So the second social worker came out. By this time, Allie had a pretty thick folder. They had information. I don't know where they got that information. But that social worker was very prejudiced toward Allie. She had not met Allie yet. She had not spoken to her once. But she told me, and she told the other social worker, the other counselor, that Allie was oppositional defiant, that she was a troubled child, and she already basically had an opinion made up of who Allie was. We went back and forth with CPS. When Allie left the runaway shelter, she was placed in a mental hospital. After that, she was placed in a foster home. There was a lot of abuse going on in the foster homes. At that time, I had a good rapport with the social workers because I was advocating for Allie. At one point, that changed. They got very irritated that I kept reporting problems and making waves and making reports because that was forcing them to move Allie to different homes. In a year's time, she was in 19 different homes and attended 19 different high schools. So it wasn't too long before the social workers were not really happy with me, where they were allowing me to have visits with her so I could take her for a soda, take her for an ice cream, whatever. They stopped that, and then they turned on me, said I was a predator, tried to they put it into a fake court order that I was not allowed to contact her. But Allie kept contacting me, telling me, this is what's going on. Can you help me? And I was bound by duty to do the right thing. Even though I was being threatened by CPS, I chose to do the right thing.
first home,
What is the big question? How
I
many
thought
more?
everything was going to be fine. I lived in a home in Fontana, California. And I lived with a 16-year-old boy, a mom, and a baby that was no more than a year or two old. 2 foster sisters. And my 2 foster sisters ended up leaving. But one of them was having sex with the foster brother before she left.
Break shit, and I'm gonna break your thing.
So when she left, I was the only one there. He started coming in my room. I called my mentor. I told her the truth. They moved me from that home, and from there I lost count of how many foster homes and group homes I've been in. I went to 19 high schools in 1 year. Never stayed anywhere longer than 2 weeks. Never stayed anywhere longer than a month. My social workers knew what was happening, but instead of wanting to make an extra report or having to make an extra report, they just kept moving me. They wanted to collect the check because I was a high-risk kid. I was a high-risk kid for court. I was a high-risk kid for foster homes, and eventually I ended up in group homes. I went from level 5, which is basically like a foster home, to level 14, which is lockdown. You can't stand up or sit down without asking for permission. You can't go to the bathroom unless you ask for permission. You can't leave your room, and you have medicine that you have to take no matter what. And then I met my pimps. And I started talking to someone online. And I thought that I met him and he was going to be my boyfriend and I'd have this relationship. And I was with him for a little bit. His name was Keith. He had, he was everything somebody like me needed in a time where nobody gave a damn and everything that I owned was in a trash bag and moved from place to place to place. And he made me fake IDs. We met at the Stringers Bar in San Bernardino, California. From there, I thought it was okay. And we spent maybe only a couple weeks together before one day I got nosy and I went into his wallet because something wasn't sitting right. And I knew he made fake IDs and I just wanted to check what else was really going on. And I found too many IDs of different last names from Keith Karvatsky, Keith Turner, Keith Harrison. And he found me looking through his stuff and he beat the hell out of me. He cracked my ribs. He put me in the hospital. And he told me that you're mine now. You're my property. You don't tell anybody else. And I did it. I did what he said. And it went from little jobs in a car to elite jobs and elite parties, orgies that were with celebrities, the Getty Los Angeles Museum, traveling to the Buckingham Palace, military bases,
That's huge.
Oh yeah.
Is that in there?
So thoughts?
There's no more black bags
I'll just
over
use
there?
that.
Um,
Thoughts? This is what you call legalize what the mob was doing for years and years back in the 1900s, 1800s, everything else. Only now it has the protection of the corporation.
I mean, it's, you know, we sit here, we talk about CPS on the little scale of like what's going on with our kids and everything, but this is in fact what they're doing with our kids.
That's kind of really fucked up story right there.
That's in fact
For
what they're
that-
doing with the majority of these kids. This is why I went to that MK Ultra. This is why I was doing those classes months ago. It's for this stuff. Because the kids
For
from
that to
CPS
be-
are going to need help.
For that shit to be going on throughout these states is unfucking precedent.
That's where all the missing kids go. People ask where these kids are. That's where they go.
Well, once again, this is something that has been planned out. Think about it. Your big PR of everything, even these people that are brainwashed that are your workers, your social workers, and they'll regurgitate the same shit. We're here to help the children, and if I can get in the way of hurting another child, I'll do it. You're talking about getting involved in people's constitutional rights in certain ways of doing things. Unless a law's been broke, nobody has no right to do any fucking thing.
Yep.
You know, and just because there's been a lot of things, that's just like people that go through traumatic things, a drunk driver or something like that, killing somebody. Have they ever thought about doing harm to that other person? This and that? Yeah, of course. Logic, rage, human nature, everything else dictates that, that more than likely you've had those thoughts or anything of those particulars. But until you've committed the crime and put those thoughts into actions to where it has crossed the line of something illegal, they need to stay the fuck out. And there's the problem, is you have the government telling people how you should raise your kids and what's acceptable and what's not. And under the Constitution, it's illegal as fuck.
Yep.
You're supposed to be there for people that don't have parents. Not getting involved in this thing of saying, well, we're a precursor. We're doing preventive maintenance just in case. And this is what we've seen. But they don't tell you the whole truth, that psychology is a soft science and it's not 100% accurate and it doesn't fit the fucking mold. And if all you do is pump horror stories, let me give you an example. If you've never been to a farm, you're from the city, and I show you nothing but horror films from being out in the country.
Yep.
How likely are you to make a trip to go to a bed and breakfast in the country with nobody around after all that input? This is the same concept of what they're doing to CPS workers. Okay? These are the bad people out here.
Right.
But you don't have kids. If you have kids and you've gone through just being a fucking parent, I mean, the ups, the downs, the this, the that, and everything with it, there's no comparison. No snot nose out of the fucking courtroom is going to tell anything, I'll be dead honest to you, to a fucking parent. Because you got to figure it the fuck out. But unless you have family or some type of, something there that institutes something of what used to be called a family name, what used to be called several different things throughout time. The family name or the family pride was a huge one, that you just didn't do things. And all of that is gone. It's kill or be killed. We're in the rule of the jungle now, but it's not supposed to be like that.
And look at what our offspring are being put in front of. They're taking us, saying that we're horrible parents for doing nothing.
Yeah.
And they're turning them into these children. Allie's going to be fucked for the rest of her life because of this.
But do you realize too, the other thing is if you listen, guys, that link that he shared goes back even farther than what Allie experienced. They were experimenting on these people in the 1800s and 1900s. That's what that article is about. It's the Down Syndrome Society. People that had autism, that you had to check your wife into a sanitarium because she wasn't acting right. They were doing lobotomies. All that stuff they learned how to manipulate people was all done in the sanitariums in that fucking read that. If you guys want a rabbit hole to go down, read that fucking link, that whole thing. And that's the International Society for Down Syndrome. They're blowing the whistle on that and so much more. Anything that went through those sanitariums, anything, you will hear the horror stories, not just the people that had Down syndrome of how they raped them and the babies that came out of them, that they'd ship them off to California. And here's the sad part. It talks about that going on out of Nashville, Tennessee, was the biggest one. That's where a lot of kids were filtered around here in the South. It went through fucking right there, right off to California into those things. And then another state set it up, another state. That's why they were looking at them, and Ronald Reagan made them fucking illegal, shut them all down. But now they're loose. They used to be contained in those sanitariums and buildings where they did all that shit. Now they let them out and they ain't got no fucking house. So now they want your fucking house. You get the concept now?
Right.
They're loose. We ain't got a home. We're looking for a place to set up shop. We still have government authority and state power and all this stuff. This has been going on for a long time.
Right.
This is nothing new.
Right. They hit the road. They took it to the road. They didn't have houses anymore. They took it to the road.
No.
Here they are. They're known as
We
CPS.
don't have to let them come from there. I could come to your home and do it.
Right.
I'll just come take your fucking kid and put him in the system. How many we need today? What's the goal today? Listen, I need 3 kids to go into foster care by the end of the month. Okay. Why? Because that gets us our numbers and you get your bonuses. And if somebody says they don't, you're full of shit.
Yep.
Because all of it is fucking published under the Freedom of Information Act. You sure fucking do. And you get a pay increase. For what? Better performance of what? Trafficking fucking children. This is not a program that was designed to make money. It was designed to be a burden, not flipped around into a profit thing for the government. The government shouldn't be running anything for profit. Hello?
I'm back, guys. Sorry, I was trying to get this ready here.
So
it's fucking crazy. It's scary shit, man. And until people grasp what the reality of this is, everybody thinks CPS is for the good of the family, for the good of this, and you're absolutely right. Their main purpose is fucked. Period.
Listen, you want to take and fix this thing with the thing with getting beaten on and children getting abused and all that other stuff. Start plugging in and having community again and figuring out what's going on and do your own investigation. Fuck the goddamn cops. Back in the day, if that shit was going on, you got fucking dealt with.
Yeah,
there was no calling the popo. The popo was there to do the cleanup.
Yeah, we just said that on the TIFF show back. I said that the other day. I said, you know what? In the old days, if there was true abuse going on in someone's home, the men in the neighborhood took care of business, and that was it.
They went away.
Deal.
And they did
they
too.
The kid was really being
they
abused.
did too. They whoop your ass and not give a shit.
Yep, that was it.
But you know what? The cops turn around. Well, that's too much thing. We can't allow that because then that keeps them highly trained and able to commit violence. That was the police's thing. Hey, we're having violence around here, and we're having, somebody got beat up or this or that because this. Yeah, you want to fucking, and then you got 2 choices. You took your fucking beating and straightened it the fuck out, or the next time the cops came around. But the most the cops came around after they got their ass whooping was, okay, is this something I need to be a problem, or is it going to correct it? That was your grace right there.
Come on,
if I find out you're doing shit again, I'm coming for you after you get your ass whooping.
Yep. Well, you think about it. Go back to our fucking childhoods. I mean, our parents would make us go out until the fucking lights came on outside on the street poles. That means you could run the streets until fucking almost 1 o'clock at night because sometimes them lights didn't come on time.
Oh, yeah.
Herbert, what's your thoughts on the cops? What's your
CPS
thoughts on what they say about the cops?
Privately owned in every state. You got to remember.
I'm listening to you guys.
Remember that the state is one faction. It goes off of state sovereignty. So some states actually have CPS under the Department of Human Services Children's Division. That's the overseer, but then they also have the workers. Other states have actually got CPS that they just subcontract out that work. So it depends on the state that you're in, because if they subcontract it in, then that's a privatized company that comes in. That's generally a for-profit company. It's not a 501c, which is kind of bullshit because they kick back and they kind of dust each other's hands with 501cs, such as your CAC centers that are 501cs, generally a majority of the time, and not a for-profit. They'll utilize those things just for more. The idea of this is that they specifically contract with the 501c, especially, is they're generally not open to the public. They are just in it for the government money. Those are the type of businesses and corporations that need to be shut down. If you do not do business with just the public and the government, and there's a lot out there that just do government contracting, that should be a no on. I don't care what trade it is or anything else. You should never take and have that just as one customer. You should be able to offer your services to the general public, because that's in a way considered a form of a monopoly, that you're only allowing, government work. And that's where I think the biggest problem is the idea is that you're supposed to live off the government. The idea is you're supposed to work for the people. It's okay to do something collaboratively for the government, as you'll say, a group of individuals that have agreed or voted on doing something, such as building a school or something like that. Great. But other than that, no. I think it's a huge overstep.
I tend to agree with that.
It just makes sense. But because we want
really, every one of these groups, every one of these CPS groups are making money from the kids being taken, whether they're overseen by DHHS, whether they're private. That alone just comes in the American Safe Family Act with the bonuses that they receive for adopting out the children in this such amount of time.
Yep.
The very fact that your state, local government, local police department, notice police department, has its own Dun and Bradstreet number. And if you don't know what that is a credit form for everything commercial. Basically what it's saying is these are commercial businesses. This is their business credit rating, based off of the businesses they do with other companies that are legit, that report those to Dun and Bradstreet, or Bradstreet and Dunn. Your Dunn's number also works for getting into your actual trust. Believe it or not, your trust is accessible through the Dun and Bradstreet, and you can see what it does and where to go from there. But the idea is they're monopolizing. They're trying to. How do you say? It's like an old saying. I'm trying to remember how it goes. Is you can squeeze a like an olive or a grape so much, but you can only get so much out of it, and now you're used up. The thing is there's so much there we don't even realize we're touching, that we are collaborative because we are the people. Therefore, the concept is we all have to have a mutual risk in this country on one format or another for the protection of this company. Hence, that was the reasoning behind Social Security and a lot of things of making you a corporation instead of an individual. Which is their justification for that, because it's easier for them to track because it speaks their language, such as business, not common law, which a lot of common law is what a living human being would take and do. It's just common sense. Half this other stuff is like micromanaging. I can do this, but I can't do that. Well, okay, well, who am I harming? Well, these are just the rules. Once again, who am I harming? Because that's what the Constitution comes down to. If I'm not harming anybody, it may hurt your feelings, but unless I harm you or come across your rights, basically the Constitution can tell you to piss off. So if I'm
physical damage, physical abuse, that's it.
That's it.
Or stolen property.
How you come in, you've already got them to the point of, and it hasn't overstretched too much, but your codes departments, your building codes, your electrical codes, your plumbing codes, all these other things, they're done probably the most the idea is safety behind everything, or structurally sound, or anything else when it's done and it's done right based off of the information that's there. It's not changed much over so many years, but it's not nothing that they've gone crazy for. Um, but the ability to come through even on some of that, to overstep of saying, hey, we want to make sure that these things are safe even on your own private property. Once again, you're going beyond the fucking home. I get you want to make sure it's safe, but why is the rules different? Get this. The rules are different in a subdivision than they are on farm or ag property or family owned property. You can build whatever you want with no damn permit at all. Your electric company only has the ability to inspect or say yes or no based off of the power coming in and up to the meter. Anything past that is based off of the state electrical inspector. Those things don't technically on a farm have to be inspected. He can throw a building up and say, I want power out here, and bypasses pretty much everything in the county. I mean, but now you on your own private property, because it's a smaller parcel, they want to be able to come into your home like CPS whenever we want. We have a right to come in. No, you fucking don't. And to be honest with you, if you really knew your constitutional rights and you didn't have the war on the Second Amendment like you do in most states to where you can and can't and can and can't, that's bullshit. It's constitutionally protected. Keep your fucking hands off of it. There ain't no thing for it. And what is that going to promote? Then promote good gun, not gun control, but good education of firearms. And we used to have them in our schools. And we used to teach our kids that safety. But most of the kids too, remember, they hunted because they needed food because people were poor. So most of them knew how to do it naturally. We don't have that through here. And then people say, well, we don't need it now. We have the police. The police don't work for you. The police works for your local government for statutes and codes. I'm sorry. That's all that's what they enforce. When you get a ticket, it'll say you have broken this code or this particular thing. Now, if you go back to the Constitution where it says all codes, rules, and regulations are for what? Government only. That means commercial. And not to the average person. Why? Because it's unconstitutional and it violates due process. And you're talking about administrative law, which is why it's under the states, because they could make money off of the commercial. But the whole point of everything else that you have out there, I'm talking about the legalities of it. Now you've got, well, we have the right to tell you, you can't park here between this time and this time and this time. Great, you can post it or recommend it. But when it comes down to it, the people have the right to assemble anywhere, anytime of anything else, and you cannot impede on that. Now you've broken a constitutional law. So when we come down to half of those things, they're not even constitutionally sound with some of these codes and rules and regulations that make no damn sense, maybe in the corporate world. But for we the people, and under our constitution, under a constitutional republic, that's illegal as fuck. You can have things. If I take and I sign up for a paycheck, say I drive for a company or something like that, and I say, listen, because I drive and safety is the utmost of this particular thing, I will sign a thing saying that I'm not going to drink or take any kind of drugs or anything like that, and that to operate a motor vehicle. That makes sense, and that's a policy. Does it infringe upon the rights? No, because you're getting compensated for that time. Those are your American truck drivers, and that's called your DOT regulation, okay? To get a commercial class license, you have to follow those rules to have that endorsement to do it commercially for profit. You have to meet those guidelines. If you don't like it, find a different fucking job, is what it comes down to, is the way it is. But once again, that's a personal choice. Some people agree with it, some don't. But the thing is you can't enforce that upon anybody else, you know, and say that that's wrong. And that's where there's got to be a set of checks and balances between the two of saying you can go so far, but you need to stop. Like it wouldn't make sense if I'm working around molten lava and everything else to carry a concealed firearm at the job site. Some people turn around and say, well, I'm compensating for that time. Yes, you're compensating for that time. You have every right to say, I don't want a firearm on here. If not, I believe in your personal protection and this and that. That is up to the discretion of the employer. Yes, because you're getting paid for your time. That means all of you. But you have to say, that's why they ruled a lot of saying have your weapon out in the parking lot is no, because now I'm on my time, even though it's company property, the vehicle's still my property, which you would need once again, even your businesses don't have the right to come into your car and do a search. You'd have to sign away for that. And that's one thing you never signed, because a lot of them said to work here, you have to sign away your rights. You can't do that. And businesses were sued over that because you're doing something unconstitutional. I don't care about your policy, but your right to my personal property, that yes, it's parked on your property, but it alone stands alone right there. You have no right to search it. The same way as a officer or anybody else. You got to have a thing unless I sign it away. But at the same time, you cannot negotiate that you have the right to search my vehicle in any given time as a promise for money. Why? Because you're paying somebody, or they're profiting from buying your rights. That's illegal as fuck too.
Yeah.
But you talk about, that link. We're talking about abuse, guys. We're talking about mental abuse that we've been going through. Why? Because at the beginning, you think our forefathers would have had something about our founding fathers, anything else about stealing from their plantation?
No,
You ever
no.
heard the word fucking posse?
Yeah. They're coming to get your ass.
No. And when you didn't have a big plantation, a bunch of employees and all that other stuff, guess what? You got all your family and friends around you from the surrounding area.
From work. Yep.
And you got a fucking posse. And you brought them before the magistrate or judge. You brought them in. Now, all that's taken away. But all of this has been a psychological ploy to make us softer because back then, you want to try and take somebody's fucking kids, you would have got fucking shot.
Nature shows it all the time. What happens if you go out and try to take a cub, a chickadee, anything? They try to kill you.
Yeah.
Period.
But instead, propaganda's come through. What? You mean you haven't seen the commercial with going around and asking the mothers if they would kill for their children? That's fucking propaganda right there. That whole fucking commercial is to soften women up to not care what people do to their own fucking kids.
Yep.
And children are watching that, teenagers, everything else. They're watching this as truths because your TV's on more than you are with your people, or the internet's on, and they're seeing the same thing. The question is what are you putting into that child that is going to defeat that and prepare them for the world to live without you, to understand there's bullshit? Not everybody's telling you the fucking truth.
If you don't get that through to your kid before you die, it's over. They're going to be just run amok.
And understand, they would have waited one more generation. We would have been too fucking old to do nothing.
Yeah.
Now they put everybody in his cabinet and everything else that he's appointing. That's all fucking Gen X. Y'all are fucked. You turn loose the fucking generation that said that did all that. Street lights come on, drink from a fucking hose. I mean, didn't know what anything else was. You were told to get the fuck out of the house. Don't come back in the house and turn around anything else. If your bike tire's flat, here, go get the shit and fix it. Figure it the fuck out. It ain't my fucking problem. They were off doing whatever it is. If you got a fucking cut or scrape, if it ain't fucking bleeding or fucking broke, so if you're losing blood, then fucking put a little dirt on it and fucking rub on and keep rolling.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a scrape. Now you got to have so many fucking pads. What the fuck are pads?
Right.
You learned that there was no risk.
Yeah.
See, there's the thing with safety sometimes is you don't respect it enough then with all that safety that there's no risk. And I think that's where they struggle with firearms the most, is because there is no gray area. It's either yes or no. As soon as you assume control of that weapon with a load in it, you got life and death in your hands.
Yeah.
There's no soft about that, and they don't know how to soften that. So now it's just bad. Since we can't soften it, it's fucking bad.
Yep.
Parents and family, if you're doing this, well, you're causing and you're this and you're that. No. If you really wanted to fucking help out my financial situation. Help out my with a better fucking job to where we're not all fucking starving and getting by our entire fucking life. Working, seeing people work till they're fucking retired, think that they're fucking done, and then the next thing you know, grandma and grandpa's at the grocery store. Not because they want to, like it used to be. I got to. I can't live off fucking Social Security. Why? The CPS is raping the shit out of it. Billions of dollars a year.
Some states match their military spending. That should tell you something.
Some states have got it better for different things, and that goes across the board. So I think that's one thing that people have. The other thing they have not been taught is how to select where you want to live. As far as your state rights, you know, and not just where family is or anything else, jobs, everything else. I think that we have the ability now to just kind of go over what are the pros and cons and being honest of the state. You know, what state's worse with fucking CPS? I mean, I'll tell you this much: I wouldn't go to fucking California. You couldn't fucking pay me to fucking go to California.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of idiosyncrasies and everything else, no. But do you know how much agriculture comes out of California? Oh, wait, what? Yeah. Why do you think they're over there? They're over there with all that Hollywood and all that other stuff and a huge amount of fucking agriculture. Huge. Look at their gross revenue products of what they have. That you can look that up for any state. That's just what that state produces the best for. Everything's on that list. But the amount of agriculture, let alone everything else, yeah, Florida. Florida's like that too. A lot of immigrants, Haitians, this and that. We got people, we got citrus farms, we have this, we have that. And then they want to talk about getting rid of people. Now, the thing today, the Texas Contractors Association has actually put on notice the federal government that if they take and they deport everybody, that they're talking about deporting all illegals. Get this, there won't be enough workers in the state of Texas to perform basic functions and keep everything running because they run off of illegals.
Yep.
And it's like, and California ain't putting that report out. I guarantee you that. So, but imagine that fucking coming across and saying, listen, we can't do that. And it's like, I've got no problem with somebody coming here to work. Get a work visa. Come here, work on the pipeline or whatever jobs, or, some people do it for migration, this and that.
Live the American dream, for Christ's sakes, but do it right.
Yeah, I mean, we have a way of doing it for the safety of us and everybody else with this open border policy. Everything's come across the fucking border.
We all have come across the border.
You can't go to fucking Canada. You try getting across the fucking border to Canada at some of the checkpoints or anything else. Ain't no fucking way.
Right. Drunk driving, you can't even go to Canada.
No.
You're off. That's it.
I mean, granted, there are a few spots that you can get across, but, once again, you're there illegally.
Mm-hmm.
But
Herbert, what do you say about this brotherhood that they talk about? You say that cops don't get kickbacks and such.
Listen, it's all enforcing policy and procedure, and what it comes down to is how civilization was structured.
In terms of the brotherhood that you were talking about, I've heard of it in some states, but that brotherhood is not in all states. I've heard of lots of Aryan Nation individuals who become police officers, but that's not in all states.
Well, yeah.
So I can't address that, except to say that I'm sure it does exist in some states where they have that kind of brotherhood.
Yeah. Well, there's that. There's influence from the Mexican American, the cartels. I mean, depending on where you're at, what state you're in, what county you're in. I mean, it's all, the needs are different. See, there's the beautiful thing. So how can we have a one-size-fits-all solution when we already know that people,
what I want to know is how do we get our children back out of the system? That's what I want to know.
Destroy the system? Start using your Second Amendment when teaching people how to use their Second Amendment and understand their rights?
Yep.
Start putting these people that are kidnapping children. I'm sorry. Bam.
How do you destroy the system?
Well, Herbert, there's the beautiful thing about the Constitution. We have multiple ways: the power of the vote, we have the power of the courts, and we have the power of Congress. A lot of
We
people
have
have
the
reached
power of
out
the
to
militia.
Congress and trying to get a senator or this person to do something, and this good person. But you have to understand how far up the ladder you think he gives a shit about anybody other than somebody that's got probably $250,000 or $500,000 check for his lobby for his re-election campaign. He ain't gonna pay. He ain't gonna pay much fucking attention. There's the problem with lobbying. They don't
Right.
give a
Well,
shit. You
we
try to
also
find
have
the
we are
senators
also
you all on everybody and everybody else besides your senator is probably one of the most untouchable people besides the governor of your state that you will hardly ever get fucking a hold of. And they always push you down to the lower ones, either House of Representative, back to your district, back to this is a district problem. This is that. This is not a state problem. No, this is a fucking national issue. But nobody's
Who
going
do
to
we
give a
have
shit.
now who do we have now that we could talk to that's like, am I correct? Her name was Nancy Schaefer?
she's dead, Herbert. She's been dead for 15
No, I
years.
know that. I'm saying who is our new Nancy Schaefer?
None.
There is
Us.
no figure. You got to
Us.
understand it's small groups like this that are popping up that's now getting their attention because a one person movement is not going to fucking move, not going to make it. It's going to take collectively of all these other groups figuring out the right way. The problem is everybody's arguing over the right way. The only way to do it is go to the court systems, fight in the court systems, win your cases, don't take shit, don't take the kickoff, hold them accountable, spread the word of what you've done establishing case law, even in your own fucking state, and hold them fucking accountable and knock it the fuck off. You got to bankrupt them. You want them to quit. Make it so unpleasant for them to make a fucking dollar and sweat so bad or jump through so many fucking hoops that they don't want it, which is the way it
How does
should
the
be.
average individual, the average Joe individual do that?
Email us and join our fucking movement.
Yeah, I mean
We
the
shrink
point
the
is,
numbers.
one, educate yourself. There's the biggest thing you have. You think an attorney's going to help you? I can tell
No.
you right now, your family, half of these people in this room right now, uh, everybody through it, who went to a family attorney when they got in trouble with CPS? Who? Come on, start typing. Me. Come on.
I'm sure most people that's in here went to an attorney because
Okay.
CPS came into their life.
Okay. And what did the state tell you? Or what did anybody tell you? If I have a family problem, I go to a family attorney. Now,
Sure.
I'm going
But
to
they
tell you
probably got
this.
circle jerked. When they went to their attorneys, they probably got circled. Even if they went to their family attorney, whatever. Maybe you said,
Do
"I
you
don't
know
handle
why?
that, but I'll give you so and so that handles that." And then they went to
You
so and
got
so that handles that kind of thing, and he comes out and says, "Well, that's going to cost you. We got to start off at 5,000, 8,000." And your average Joe doesn't have that 5 to 8,000 to put out immediately.
Well, some do, some don't, but most of them got consulted with an attorney, or they had somebody else that was, say, appointed by the public defender's office or something.
Yep.
So let me give
Sure.
you a couple different things. One, is your attorney able to actually file in federal court? Because over 90% of your family attorneys, look at Vinny. Vinny will tell you straight away, mine couldn't. Well, then let me ask you something. If you have something come up in your case, and this is legit, and it's a federal question such as your constitutional rights, why didn't you file for a change of jurisdiction? Because your attorney was not able to legally do that. There should have been jurisdictional change or questions. They should have sent it up the ladder and said, this is a constitutional rights issue. Yes, it does affect this particular civil case, but we need the ruling of the higher court. Notice how fast they pick up the case real quick as soon as you start dealing with constitutional things. They roll right over you. When you say, I'm challenging jurisdiction over we have questions that are directly proportional to my case and the outcome of this case, that judge has zero authority to stop a change in jurisdiction. To do so, is an open act and a felony, arrestable immediately. When you articulate this particular questions and everything else has to go to a federal courtroom to be answered, that lower court judge cannot say, well, we just need to go on and we'll go on without it. No, your proceeding stops immediately because you have got a jurisdiction of a higher jurisdiction. And if they move on, that means they're assuming that they are interpreting the Constitution, which no state, nobody that says state from the state has the authority to make that call. None of them. And they're rolling right over you guys to do it. Challenge the jurisdiction, deal with the constitutional rights issues, and then when you address them, then the federal judge is going to send it back to the lower court because you've changed jurisdictions. Now, the federal court, you're going to ask the questions that deal with constitutional rights and how it affects your case. When you do that, then it's sent back down with specific instructions from the federal court. You don't see the federal judge at all. You simply write the questions out. Everybody gets copies of them. You promote your case law and everything else. They get a rebuttal to it. They can quote case law in their opinion on this particular thing. But they have to answer the questions. Both sides gets a chance to make it. The judge then makes the decision what the ruling is. This will benefit you on so many things, which is why they don't tell you, because if you point out constitutional rights violations were done and a judge rules on it, your civil trial just to sue them later is already taken care of for you because the judge already decided.
Yep.
The case is already done. You're just looking to collect your monies. It's already been decided.
So let me ask you this one, Gunner. Aren't we under the Constitution, we have the right to plead the Fifth Amendment, correct?
Yeah.
Now, if you plead the Fifth in your termination trial, for instance, you plead the Fifth Amendment and that judge uses their adverse inference and they find you guilty of all charges and they use that against you, pleading the Fifth Amendment in your district court case, and you get terminated because you pled the Fifth Amendment, isn't that a lawsuit right there?
As long as it's stated in the paperwork that it was due to the fact that you held your tongue and exercised your Fifth Amendment right to do so, that became your institution, because they're not supposed to read guilty or not guilty into that. It's supposed to be neutral. So yes, it's also a violation of due process because the judge assumed that your Fifth Amendment implied guilt. Mm-hmm. So you can't use any of it. They then has to stand on the merits of everything else. There's the problem that most people don't know, because they even manipulate juries a lot of time with giving them fucked up instructions that's illegal as fuck. Well, you can consider this, but you can't consider that. That's completely impossible. You can't separate the two. It's impossible. But thank you for getting your point across, Judge, of how corrupt you want to be. Because everybody knows, that has any common sense, to do certain things requires a certain methodology. Therefore, you can't skip one to get the other. If I skip the first one, you can't lead to the second one. And that means you're trying to manipulate this case by your ruling. That cannot be done. That's also illegal. So you have to watch a lot of those judges' orders. But we've just been softened up on many levels. We've discussed many tonight of how it's even worked with police departments. It's got them doing illegal shit. I mean, to be honest with you, if they really got audited and it came under federal case law and everything else by every police department's policies, procedures, and everything else to come through, I guarantee you they'll pick that thing apart and point out a minimum 5. I know it's more because I've looked at them. Unconstitutional policies and procedures. They were even doing stuff to protect their buildings like it was some kind of a military compound. To where people couldn't film outside. If you got people doing First Amendment audits like crazy, hey, if I'm in public, I can see what the eye can. I'm allowed to have a camera here. You can't do that. No, this is public property. No, it's not. It's owned by the city. See the corporation poking out with that statement? No, it's public. We, the people, own this. And they have the attitude, instead of public servants, they are power trippers. Well, I work for so-and-so and I have the power to do this, this, and that, and I'm within the government and I have friends over here with this and that. See, there's the problem. We got too many friends. See, a lot of our shit, if you really want to do it right, I don't think our police officers should live in the neighborhoods they patrol.
Agreed.
I think it should be like the next county over. If you work in one county, you have to work in the surrounding counties. You cannot work or live in that same county.
I fully agree, seeing as how we have two state officers that are husband and wife, and they both are state troopers. They live 5 minutes up the road from us.
I believe that's one right there. I mean, if you've got state troopers usually work a designated area. I mean, it's usually what they're assigned to. Highway patrol or whatever it is. I mean, usually through the interstates is the biggest parts that they do in major areas.
Well, I think we covered quite a bit tonight, guys.
Yeah. What was the girls' club, babe? Says how many people realize there is a similar girls' club?
Yeah. What is that?
I don't know. I'm waiting for her to type. She has many perspectives, so I won't ruin anything and suggest, because there's too many avenues. I'll let her clarify. But guys, all I can tell you is protect your minds, and there's a reason they're in your homes. Really read that report and go to that link if you haven't got it. Read up on how it started and how they dealt with basically defenseless fucking kids. I mean, people that had mental issues, brain issues, and manipulated and did the things to them. I mean, and experimented with the drugs on them for big pharma and got paid for it. I mean, they're always looking for ways to make money. And that's sad that you could make money off other people's suffering like that, and let alone for it to be legal. I just don't get it. I mean, because to be honest, if it came down to it, if people really wanted to, there was nothing they could do about it. If the people assembled themselves. Job's daughters. They're a girl's version of the Masons. That's right. Yep. I got you. So the Masonic Lodge has got two versions. So you've got the Masonic Lodge, and then you've got the Job's daughters, that is the female version, because they don't intermingle. And we're finding out that that's coming out more on the female end. To go through a lot of that, especially on one side of the particular aisle. I just don't. I mean, the thing that gets me too is, why do you have judges that are all divorced going over divorce cases?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
There's no bitterness there. I mean, why not find somebody that's happily married, everything else, and like trying to bring a little reason or anything else to it? And now the big push from the new campaign is start getting divorced on mutual things, of like stick together, or if it's irrefutable, but quit paying lawyers and start negotiating this, and get rid of child support by just going under contract with each other. Do it yourself. The concept of greed and things, and I hate to tell a lot of ladies this, and a lot of moms this, because of abuse of the system of several people and several different genres, it's about to probably fucking end, because now there's no excuse under everything being half and legal. It's go out and get a job, whether you make equal or you don't, and no, your lifestyle's not going to be the same. That's going to be, I think that's the biggest misconception is, when you get divorced, it tears the entire family apart. It destroys what you had. I think that's the thing that we really don't think about, and I think CPS doesn't think about. They don't want to think about. And I think that's the part that hurts the worst is the families that are left behind, and you got to understand, even after we get our kids home. By the way, my oldest just turned 18, so he's just recently, like this past week, is now able to come back around. And the amount of shit just that, he was going through, and now he's free of it and realizing the day he turned 18 of now he can tell everybody to fuck off. And, he doesn't have to listen to the bullshit anymore. He can make his own decision. And that's one of the things of just like, to experience that freedom after such oppression of something he never did. And he's got to live with that for the rest of his life,
You can't get back that time.
No, you can't. And we were looking at, well, I did some research today, just on, because I have the heart condition of doing the transplant. They say the average is about another 10 to 20 years is about the cycle, because something about the heart's build up some kind of thing for it. It's not that it attacks itself. It just something, the natural progression of it, unless of course science changes a lot of things. But having that by time, and we've had those serious conversations a little bit more of just saying, I run the risk of just even sitting on the table, because you got to understand they're taking one fuel pump out and trying to put in another fuel pump, and hopefully somebody can get it from AutoZone and got the wrong fucking or the wrong fucking part, because there ain't no fucking changing it back. You know what I'm saying? Right. And motherfuckers, it's the wrong year and size. You know how that goes.
Yep.
Let me see if I understand what you just said. You said you had a heart transplant, or you have to get a heart transplant?
No, I have to get one. I'm on working on getting on a list, doing my disability and everything else.
Okay.
So I've done my final test, so now it's just a matter of just waiting on stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, it's still fucking slow. Even for somebody like this, where I have to wait to get on my disability to even get on a transplant list. It's that fucked up. Just the way they do shit. Doesn't mean it's so much right, but at the same time, it is what it is. So we just take it another day. But like I said, sometimes it's hard to come with that own mortality of, listen, you robbed 2.5 years away from my son. I'll never get back. And at the same time, now look at me that I don't know how much
time. Cut it short, right?
I mean, what does that mean to families like that goes through health issues or other issues? That are you telling me that some people, and there's the sad part, you got to look at it. Imagine somebody had something like this and say something happened to me and I never saw my kid again. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty fucked up for your government to do. I mean, I really.
How many kids go away and their family dog's dead when they come back, or their grandmother or their uncles, or these people that they were growing up with that they never get to say goodbye or whatever to?
Yeah. And all because of what? Because government.
Right.
Nothing criminally, nothing this and that, other than the fact CPS came in, had their perspective, their points of views, what shit that they could falsify, drum up, lie about, all those other things for what? So they can make a fucking dollar and justify their fucking piece of shit fucking toilet paper degree. It's so great. Because that, what are you going to do when all that shit goes away and you got to go to work at the oil fields? You got to get your fucking hands dirty for a fucking change. You got to wake up and do some fucking physical fucking work, and you ain't got time to change your hair color 20 different ways or look like an Oompa fucking Loompa coming to look and scare somebody. I mean, you want to talk about that? Everybody's thought Teletubbies was this. I'm looking on fucking TikTok at some of these social workers. Jesus, have mercy. I mean, they look like fucking, the Teletubbies.
Yeah. I know a few of them myself.
And these are people with no children. These are people with no children. And if you've got them, you had other people that were living off of running a foster home, 5, 6 fucking kids, to where now they're all pissed off. They got to go to fucking work because they're going to cut the benefits. Give them back to their fucking families.
Yeah.
Give them to their fucking relatives. They were taking these kids in long before there was a social fucking program to make fucking money. It's called being a fucking family. We didn't have that shit. If somebody got sick and went in the hospital, you've got a brain injury or this, that, the family usually picked up, or your good friends came by and checked on fucking things, make sure fucking things were squared away. You need a little help here or there. What can we do for you? You coordinated with all your people. Now the thing is after COVID-19, you ain't got no fucking people.
Yeah.
They've isolated you. You don't know nobody. Everybody you know is across the fucking screen. I mean, look at us here today. I mean, it's a great thing that we can connect like that all over the United States. Great thing, but it ain't like I go over to fucking Darren's house and go cook up a fucking big old steak and a fucking baked tater and fucking roll a big fatty. I mean,
I wish that would happen, because that'd be awesome.
I mean, or I'm rolling up at Vin's house playing in the fucking mud of fucking Maine because it's so fucking cold, saying, what the fuck's the matter with you? You ain't right in the head to stay here. It's too fucking cold. I said, damn, you walk outside, you got a nutsicle. You just playing. Hey, I think I broke something off, man. You know, I mean, hopefully Ben keeps everything wrapped this fucking winter and everything. But I know it's cold because, you know, been out in Chicago. And there's other places it's fucking still fucking hot and miserable. I mean, but it depends on where you're at in the country, guys. I mean, there's the beautiful thing, but we've lost that human connection, and now you're easily open to manipulation, and CPS knows it, and they're exploiting this. They weren't there. They're not there in North Carolina to help.
No, they're not.
One fucking bit.
Right.
What they
Before you go to North Carolina, I'm trying to address Sharon's something for stress. She says she's tried out. It's called ashwagandha. Can you see that word, Darren?
Ashwagandha.
Yeah. Ashwagandha?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
It's a supplement of different herbs and minerals that is applied together directly to help with high stress or cortisol issues. They're actually used to help dissipate those things and help your brain function better. And if you have trouble with fight or flight issues, I'll give an example there. It actually helps a lot with that. If you're in your healing process or your healing phase, it's a great thing to help you refocus, be more like yourself, and realize what normal feels like a little bit more. Listen, guys, nothing's going to fix the emptiness of not having your kids. Okay. Nothing's going to fix the emptiness of your child turning and going completely fucking psycho on you. And some cases of turning around and accusing you of 20 different things while whoring around the whole fucking state, and prostitution and other things that may take and go on. There's extremes, but a lot of this, you got to understand too, takes and has to go back to what's going on at home, and that even goes into our food. We need to pay more attention. I think it's a great thing RFK is addressing this, because the stuff that we've ingested, especially Gen X, we've seen it all, the food colorings, the dyes, the fillers, the this and that. We've all consumed it, and we ain't no fucking better for it. We're seeing the long-term effects of it, and it's not good. I think just paying more attention to that is going to help a lot of situations for both men and women. I think it's going to help the family. I think there's a big trend right now of going back to traditional, not having to take and deal with this particular thing, no matter what it takes. So
this is what you guys need right here, what Gunner's talking about. My mom's probably losing her mind right now because I just put this up there. She's a huge advocate. But this is a Yucca app. You go into the grocery stores, you scan the barcodes. It tells you if the food's good or bad, what's in it, everything. You'll be freaking amazed at what's in these foods that they actually give you. So check this out. It's really good stuff for that.
And you guys realize, have you ever looked at some of the
I can't see the app on the screen. What's the name of it again?
Yucca.
Yeah.
Yucca app.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But guys, listen, they're putting these kids in foster homes and everything else, even the CAC centers. If you'll notice, pay attention to the food they give them. It's all Little Debbie's. It's all this and this and this with a bunch of dyes and gummies and everything else. And they're trying to, especially when you're in those things, they will take and actually try to trigger your kid while you're there through these things by giving them these snacks or drinks or anything else that's in them, just to trigger them. It's not like they have water and a piece of fruit there for them. It's junk food. It's all stuff laced with dyes and everything else, not fresh fruit and water or infused water or anything like that. That would be good or, positive for the kids. What do we have? We have Coca-Cola products. We have Dr. Peppers. We have Pepsi. That are here. We'll give you a can of sugar and processed everything with corn syrup that'll just fuck your mind up even more in your health.
Listen here, I'm drinking tea that I made myself.
That was a Dr. Pepper can, Vinny.
Here, you want a piece of candy, little boy?
Yeah, I dumped it in the can.
McDonald's French fries that don't fucking deteriorate for 50 fucking years.
You know, it's called recycle, reuse.
Yeah, I mean, here's a little human flesh in there. You know, have a flesh burger. You know, anything. You know, and they're pushing and testing you the entire time. You got to understand that whole process with CPS is a psychological manipulation from the day you encounter them. Every bit of it. And when they get you on their turf, there's certain things that they do to manipulate and control the situation, the flow of information, the entire thing, running little reactions and tests from you and getting that information. Why? It's all part of their supposed training. Why would you have your government come after you and test you who you are? Fuck you. There's my response. You got no fucking right. And that's exactly where you at on this. Well, we don't like that. We think little Jimmy's room's a little bit too messy. And, you know, there's open containers here and this and this and that. And this doesn't work. You know, hear about this. Well, you don't support little Johnny eating, you know, McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, you're a bad parent. You're supposed to supply those things for your children. Oh, well, they feel like a fucking a warthog today. Well, I guess they do that today. They identify as a cat. You don't support them. Where's their little litter box that you can change so they can pee and poop in? This is the kind of shit that's one of those things you have overstepped your line, because whether I choose to believe or not in those things is my personal fucking choice. And it's my constitutional right to believe I has. And for you to come in as the government to tell me what to believe is a direct violation of your First Amendment right. There's the first thing CPS has wrong. You don't have the right to fucking tell me shit under none of it. Because I can raise my child how I feel fit. If I want to raise them out in the middle of the woods with no electricity and an outhouse and all that other stuff, you can't force me to get indoor plumbing. You can't force me to get, you know, electricity. Well, it's bad. No, we choose to live primitive. And if you say I can't do that, what about the Amish? That's called discrimination. Now you don't fucking like it, do you?
And if they do ask you to do that shit, they're supposed to pay for it.
Yeah.
So,
Men
guys, we're way into this one now. Let's do some last thoughts here, guys. Let's get out of this. I'll be stuck in this one zone all night long. Vinny?
I'm just gonna say, keep fighting, never give up. Try to have a good week. Try to keep CPS away from your house as much as possible. And as Herbert always says, avoid being a target of CPS.
All right. Herbert?
As Vinny would say, don't let CPS into your home unless they have a warrant from the judge. They come to your door with a police officer. You don't have to let them in. Don't let them in. Tell them to go show you a signed warrant and the reason why they're coming into your home.
Mm-hmm. Gunner?
Keep pushing that education, gathering that knowledge, make yourself a better person every single day. Test those spirits, test those people to make sure that they're pure. Keep it real. And when you have the opportunity to piss off somebody, by God, do it every fucking chance you fucking get.
I love it. All right. And for me, listen, if you guys are victims of SRA or MK Ultra or any of that stuff, I'll offer this is I got to do some training on that stuff. And so I'm willing to, if you need those services, to anybody that's from CPS, if you have handlers or any of that stuff, reach out to me and I'll do some work on you guys for free and get that stuff managed for you. And in turn, get my practices up. So reach out to me if you guys need those services.
Who's your source you're using for the MK Ultra platform?
No, just me, man. No sources, just me, my brother. It's all body code and things like that.
Well, I guarantee you'll run into Project Paperclip.
I'm sure we will. We'll run into Project.
That was one of the foundational principles of establishing was MK Ultra.
Yep, we got plenty of these kids that are coming from CPS that are all going to need this help. So that's why me and my wife took those courses, and learned how to do that stuff. So if you guys need that assistance, then reach out. But yes, Gunner, let's do it. I'll send out the links. And for the rest of you, I'm the CPS Punisher. I'm trying to get out of here. Have a good night, guys.
After show in the comments?
Yes, sir. I'll send it now.
Roger that.
Let's go. The world getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, well, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate. Separate and segregate, don't celebrate quite yet. The storm is coming, cue for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate the values of our country, and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate. Then we liberate, praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on the streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour, troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, chose to just neglect it. Deflected by some breaking news, oh, we just accept it. Expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objective, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, lying out of sheep. Only kneel to my God, so I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheap. Drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition. No, I'm gonna start resisting, and then I'll pray for forgiveness.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now. We need you now. We need you now. One day, one day, one day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.